Hi class, I wanted to discuss with you the you want me to do what assignment. So let's look at this journal. So what you are going to do this week is you are picking 3 consecutive days to cut all added sugar out of your diet. Now the nice thing about today's food label is it identifies what's added sugar versus maybe like dairy where sugar is naturally occurring, lactose. And so we want to make sure that we're cutting out all added sugar. And so, for example, if I were to take a yogurt, I'm going to look at the back, I'm going to look at the added sugar, and that's going to tell me the difference between the lactose in there and what's the added sugar in there. So typically our flavored yogurts and things like that. And so this does not include food that is in our natural environment, fruits, vegetables, all of that stuff. This does not include any of those things. This only is food with added sugar. So that could also be added juice concentrate. So this would obviously be no juice. So the other key thing is it bound to fiber? And that is actually a lot of what chapter 5 is going to talk about, carbohydrates. Carbohydrates get such a bad rap, man. Carbs are good for you. Really, it's the kind of carbohydrate. Potato chips are carbohydrates and broccoli is a carbohydrate. Okay, so the quality of the carbohydrate is really what determines whether it's going to have a negative impact on your body or a positive impact on your body. And so I want to move away from this my carbs are bad or carb bad language. Let's just talk about how about processed foods aren't good for us and foods in whole food form are good for us, and that we want to be aiming to eat those foods in whole food form. Foods in whole food form just fine. They're full of fruit, minerals, and vitamins, phytochemicals, and everything that you need. So for these 3 days, you are cutting out all added sugar. This is going to be tough for 99% of you. I have done this with my class numerous times. I have actually lived in a world where I ate absolutely no processed sugar for about 6 months. And I also live in a world today where I eat very little sugar generally. So what are you going to do? You are going to record everything in NutriCalc, just like you just did. You will be submitting those food reports to me. They have to be turned into me. In addition to your food reports, you are going to list exactly how many grams of sugar you consumed each day. I am not interested in fruit sugar. I am interested in added sugar. Okay, so don't say I ate 25 grams of fruit or less. You're going to write a summary paragraph talking about your experience with this. Really today the current recommendations are you should be eating 25 grams or less of added sugar. I won't lie, that's still a lot, but I think what you're going to come to find is many of you probably will have a hard time even thinking about achieving that. And so that's what I want you to evaluate. Sugars basically run unchecked for a really long time now, and the consequence to our health is truly disastrous when we look at the amount of type 2 diabetes we have and obesity and metabolic syndrome. And so now sugar is finally getting its well-deserved spotlight. If you're interested in this topic, I have a ton of cool stuff that you can watch and see about sugar. And so, but for this assignment, this is what I want you to do. For your journal, I want you to type in the journal function. Please do not give me another Word doc to open. It's super annoying. But I want you to attach your NutriCalc so I can take a look at that. Okay, so make sure that you're planning wisely. Also, you might take a day or two to plan for this assignment. You're going to need to go through your cabinets and look at the ingredient list of everything that you typically eat. You're going to need to put a little forethought into this. I'm not saying you have to purchase new food, but you will have to put a little forethought. The other thing is, if eating some added sugar is unavoidable, I don't mean I love Coke and so that was unavoidable. What I'm saying is pretty much there's no breads out there, there's one or two, that don't have added sugar because in the baking process you need to add a little sugar. We might say that's unavoidable, okay? And so that is what we're focusing on, not, well, I just really, really want a dessert that night and it's unavoidable. Believe it or not, I've actually had people do that. So if it has to be eaten like I needed to have bread or I wouldn't have lunch to travel with me all day, that's understandable. Just make sure that you highlight that. Okay. Enjoy the assignment. It'll be okay. You'll want to throw tomatoes at me, but you can do it next week. Trust me, I'm doing my best to save your life. Have a great no sugar week.